Hello, everyone. My name's Liam Dixon. I'm Hockey Australia's Hockey Operations Manager, and welcome to March Matters. This evening, we will be looking at HockeyEd enhancements. But before we start, I'd just like to do an acknowledgement of country. So Hockey Australia acknowledges Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples as the traditional custodians of the lands and waterways throughout Australia. We pay our respects to the elders of past, present, and emerging, and acknowledge their ongoing connection to land, sea, and community. For they hold the memories, the traditions, and the cultures of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples across the country. We extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. All right, so this evening we'll be covering 5 topics. We'll be looking at Sport Australia and the essential skills that are going to be released in the coming weeks that will replace the old general principles. We'll be looking at the National Coaching and Officiating Framework. We'll be looking at the accreditation process and how courses will be rolled out in 2022. We'll be looking into HockeyEd and the pathway for coaches and officials. And finally, we'll be touching on the LMS, which is etrainu. Just before we start, I'm just going to show you a quick video on Sport Australia and the essential skills. But one of the key reasons why Sport Australia have invested so heavily in rolling out the modern approach to coaching and officiating is the participation in physical activity rates have declined significantly over the last decade or two, with 1 in 2 children not sufficiently active for health benefits. And Australia is placed 140th out of 146 countries in terms of how physically active our teenagers are. So it's quite a scary fact when you start to think about today's teenagers are tomorrow's coaches and officials. So if we're not encouraging or motivating the young people of today to be active and be healthy, we're not breeding the next generation of coaches and officials. So anyway, I'm just going to throw into the first video of Sport Australia's.
Sport Australia's new approach to coaching in Australia. Deliver world-class participant experiences. Build positive learning environments. Grow participation. Create a more vibrant sports sector. Australians are participating less in organised sport and missing out on the mental, physical and social benefits. In collaboration with the sector, Sport Australia is leading the modernisation of coaching, redefining the sporting experience to motivate the creation of positive environments which encourage more to play and enjoy sport. The new approach takes a wider view of coaching roles and the networks that support them. By broadening the coach's understanding of their participants and what success looks like, the new approach is putting people at the core, focusing on the participant and their individual needs, aspirations, and motivations. The right environment empowers participants to achieve their personal goals while delivering physical, psychological, social, and cognitive health and well-being benefits. With optimal learning and development opportunities, coaches can create the best environment for participants to thrive in. Whether they are learning to play, playing socially, playing at a competitive level, or performing at a national and international level, our team of experienced advisors will support sports as they embed the new approach to improve the sporting experience for all Australians.
Excellent. So the modernised approach will transform the sporting experience and encourage more people to play, coach and enjoy sport. So developed in collaboration with Sport Australia, the new approach focuses on the participant and their individual needs, aspirations and motivations. So this has led to a total overhaul of the general principle courses as we know it. Sport Australia will be releasing a series of essential skills courses, starting with the community coaching essential skills, which will be released in April of this year. Following that, the essential skills for officiating, and then later in the year, we'll see the essential skills in mentoring and also educating. And that very much aligns with our framework and the direction of coaching and officiating for our sport. Yep, so the coach approach. So rather than focusing only on skill development, winning and moving up through accreditation levels, the new approach involves ongoing learning and development for coaches, enabling them to continually improve their coaching skills for the benefit of participants, whether they are learning to play, playing socially, or playing at a competitive level. And this is what the Essential Skills Community Coaching course will look like. So it's basically broken down into 8 modules. There's only 7 on the screen at the moment. The 8th is led by Sport Integrity Australia. But what you'll see here at number 1, engaging participants. So who you coach, understanding the value of quality coaching practices, optimizing the learning environments to service your participant. Number 2, space, equipment, and facilities. So where you coach, maximizing space, equipment, and facilities to provide quality learning environments for participants to enjoy positive sporting experiences. Considerations for coaches to modify activities, spaces, and equipment to service participants. So recognize, I guess, the safety requirements to utilize space, equipment, and facility. Yep, the 3rd module, session planning and preparation. So what you coach, the value of session planning, preparation, and things to consider. So describe the important coaching practices when planning for a session, develop plans, set goals and appropriate challenges and activities for participants, and demonstrate bringing your session plan to life through delivery, while also having a plan B. Module 4, communication. So how you connect. So effective communication for multiple stakeholders, including but limited to participants, athletes, teams, parents, guardians, and volunteers, including also different communication methods to provoke clarity of purpose. So I guess the role of communication in optimizing the environment to enhance the participation, athlete, and team experience while overcoming environmental challenges through effective communication. Yep, and then we've got Module 5, which is stakeholder management. So how to engage and organize. Module 6, group management. So how you deliver. So the value of group management and things to consider. Describe important coaching considerations when managing groups, manage individual requirements with considering group objectives, implement strategies to develop quality group management. And then finally, Module 8, self-reflection and assessment. So how you improve, understand the value of self-reflection to support long-term personal growth as a coach. Describe methods for self-reflection practices. So demonstrate coaching practices using self-reflection to optimize the participant environment. So again, these essential skills for community coaching will be released in the coming weeks, and they will replace the general principle courses. That will sit in our foundation support course as well. So pretty much the eight modules of essential skills will make up our learning outcomes, and then we will include some specific hockey related modules. All right, so just going to move on to a brief history of the national framework. So where we started. So back in 2020, in August, there was consultation with Sport Australia, Cantradel at Sport Australia, and the forming of 3 working groups. That was at a high performance level, a coach and officiating level as well. And then Cantradel worked across the 3. So the consultation lasted pretty much 9 months and ended up in the first release of the framework. So on the next slide, I'll actually show you the first release and the second release, as we did encounter a few sort of minor, I guess, hiccups early on through the education series that we released, where there was a bit of pushback from the community, just understanding exactly what we wanted to represent in the graphic. So we went back to the drawing board a little bit. We formed what was the Coaching and Officiating Advisory Group, which was made up of members from all of our states and territories. And then under that, we formed 5 working groups, which was a coaching working group, an officiating working group, a mentor working group, educator working group, and then an expert working group. All had backgrounds in their specific field, most of them coming from a hockey background as well, or education. And then that led to the release of version 2 of the framework. So we're really, really happy with where we ended up. It was released on the 15th of September And from there, that basically that started to allow us to finalize the learning outcomes and competencies. So we're reviewing the current competency list that's existed for the last sort of 10 plus years and the learning outcomes, just to modernize our approach and also align ourselves with the participant-led approach of Sport Australia. This led to the announcement of our LMS, which is etrainu. We signed a 4-year arrangement, a 4-year deal with or partnership with etrainu on the 10th of November. So really, really exciting times as we continue to develop online content throughout the next sort of, I guess, 12 to 24 months. And that will basically sit really, really nicely in that blended learning approach. So we can deliver pre-course work online through the LMS, and we can also run post-course work. So it just allows us, I guess, to spend more time on the ground or in classrooms or in online workshops together, focusing on the practical skills that are required for coaches and officials. And then again, the last sort of the area here is the community essential skills, as I've touched on before. So that's aimed to be released in the coming weeks, so early April, with then a release date of the officiating essential skills, hopefully before June, and then the mentor and educator essential skills to follow later in this year. All right, so we'll just jump ahead. So again, as I mentioned, in April 2021, we released the first edition of the framework. And again, after sort of further consultation and then forming COAG as we know it, we basically worked on producing a graphic that we felt was more representative of the direction that we wanted to go and emphasize the horizontal shift that we wanted to create, so that it's not necessarily about vertically challenging our coaches and officials. It's actually about providing them the opportunity to be the best in their environment. And that can mean basically educating themselves further in going from the support lead into that mentor and that educator role, so you can be the best under 13s or under 15s coach or official by operating in that educator space. So what we've basically coined, this mentor and educator will be the foundation facilitator, which is that combined block at the bottom in that foundation level. And the way that we see the Sport Australia courses sitting nicely here is that you'll complete the essential skills in mentor and in the mentor and educator modules, and that will actually give you the foundation facilitator accreditation. And then from there, we'll have FIH and Hockey Australia specific development and educator courses available, so you can progress further vertically if that's where you're looking to move. But again, it's all relative to the environment that you want to operate in. All right, so just the next slide that we're going to move to is the coaching pathway. This just gives you a bit of an understanding, and I know it's very, very text heavy, but it gives you a bit of an understanding of where the accreditations sit and also where the pathway for our coaches. So you'll start in the foundation support coach, which is the old community coach level. It is important to mention that if you've got a current accreditation, which is basically anyone accredited or renewed from 2017 onwards, you will be integrated into RevSport and etrainu. So you will have a current accreditation in the new platform, in the new HockeyEd platform. But yeah, so foundation community or foundation support coach will then move into our foundation lead coach, which is the current level 1. And then we start to move vertically if you'd like to follow the old pathway. So development lead is the current level 2, advanced lead is your current level 3. And then we're actually introducing a performance lead level, which will sit above. So that's exciting that we can still extend our coaches vertically who would like to, but we've also got the pathway, as I said, into that mentor and that educator space. One of the big additions to the framework is that we're moving away from coaches being able to assess and accredit coaches. So the only way that you will be able to actually be in that assessor role is if you're qualified and you're accredited as a mentor or an educator, rather than just being a high level coach. So it just means that an advanced coach or performance lead coach won't be able to accredit or tick off coaches who sit below them anymore. If you want to move into that pathway, you'll need assessor training, you'll need training and mentorship and educating. The other exciting area is you'll see the development coach space. Now, this recognizes our current accreditations, but this is also where we'd like to move to offering specialized accreditations. So think of drag flicking, think of short corners, think of attacking specialist coaches and defending specialist coaches. So we want to actually offer pathways for coaches to specialize in their chosen field, and that will sit in that support column. So at the moment, you can sort of see as well that we've added the performance goalkeeper coach. So that will be led by our national goalkeeping coach, Dave Staniforth, and he'll be developing the learning outcomes and the competencies of what we expect from our goalkeeper coaches. But again, that will be slightly embedded into our coaching pathway, as well, as we do want to upskill our current coaching so they are aware of what engagement levels we need from our goalkeepers, but also they'll have some sort of technical foundation as well. All right, so moving to the next slide, and this is just a quick snapshot. We've only produced this for our coaches at the moment, but the idea is that we release something very, very similar for our on-field and off-field officials. What this gives an indication of is the environments that we expect. Now, it's not sort of set in stone per se, but it's more of a rough guideline of the environments of where you should be coaching, into what level accreditation you should hold, and also what you may aspire to. The other thing that you'll see here is that we've adopted the FIH courses, and we've dropped that into our pathway. So we found it very, very important, our coaching working group, to actually provide a pathway moving out of the HA levels. So once you move past FIH level 4, which is sitting above the performance lead, you've got the FIH level 5 and level 6. So if you've got aspirations to reach a high performance and an international level, you can continue through our pathway until you reach the very top of the FIH courses. We also found that having prerequisites, so once you move past the development lead, which is your current level 2, a prereq of being or sitting your advanced lead course will actually be the FIH level 2 course, and the same thing will occur at the performance lead space. So one of the benefits of combining FIH courses in our own pathway is that you'll be exposed to international presenters, but also networking opportunities with international coaches. So different coaches with different ideas, different principles, different concepts, and just a different way of educating. So you'll see different ideas of what you've been taught in the past, and we think it's really, really exciting to bring that on board our own pathway. And this is probably something that hasn't been possible in the past either. With COVID bringing a new digital world and the ability to connect digitally through workshopping, Teams and Zooms and those sorts of platforms, FIH has been able to deliver a series of online training courses. So I'd encourage you to jump in, have a look at what they offer, because they've already got courses that are basically offered monthly, and electives as well, which sit to support the level 1, the level 2, level 3, etc. So what we'll move now to is just the umpiring pathway again. So foundation support umpire, which is your current community, moves into your foundation lead, and then we move up. Something that we addressed quite quickly was there's a large gap that existed between our current HA level 1 umpires and our level 2 umpires. So we've been able to create this development lead space, which is the development lead umpire. It's a Hockey Queensland. Level 1 course that they've actually delivered for a number of years as well, because there has been this recognized gap, I guess, in the pathway for officials, where you're expected to operate at a level 1, and then what we expect from our level 2 umpires. So that's quite exciting that we've been able to add an additional level to support the umpires along their journey. And again, the current Australian level umpire will sit at the top as our performance lead. Not too much changes in the mentor space. Sport Australia will assist us, obviously, with what they're rolling out over the next 12 months. But the umpire coach, as we know it, is basically operating that mentor space. So that's where the current accreditations will sit. And then there's also the ability to move into that educator space. So there is a distinct difference between our mentors and our educators, and it recognizes the fact that some of our officials want to become educators and some of them want to be mentors and operate in that environment. You can hold both accreditations, but just allows coaches and officials, I guess, to specialize in the areas that they're more passionate about. All right, so we'll just jump ahead to technical officiating. So another thing that we've been able to introduce is the judge course. So the level 0 judge course, which is our foundation support judge, and then the level 1 development support judge. So 2 new accreditations, which basically help our volunteers as they enter, as they first start out their officiating pathway. So these will mainly be delivered online as online training, preparing a judge for a state or national event. The lead pillar, you can see foundation lead technical official level 1. You can see that moves up to level 3. So that's very, very similar to our current structure of the 3 levels. What we've felt though is that there wasn't a need to actually create a level 4, a performance lead for a technical official as such, because once you reach that level, you're generally moving more towards the tournament director role. So what it actually is once you hit that advanced technical official level 3, the next step is actually to move laterally into an advanced technical mentor as a TD, and then a performance technical mentor as a TD. There's also the ability to be a performance technical educator or advanced technical educator, but that's how this sort of flows up. So you will have the support roles, which are the judge roles. You move into your TO roles, which are lead TO roles, depending on the environment, whether it's a local club competition, state, regional based, national event. And then when you become a tournament director, again, that can be at a state level or a national level. And then beyond that as well for FIH events, Pro League, Trans Tasman, and then as far as you want to continue to move up. So again, one of the things that we'll be looking to do next is we'll be looking to release a pathway guideline document very similar to what I've released on the coaching side, just to give you an understanding of again, as a guideline, the areas that we expect you to be operating in, so that you have some sort of understanding about where your aspirations lie, but also the environment that we expect from you at the particular accreditation levels. All right. So what's next for our coaches and officials? So coaches and officials in 2022 are encouraged to continue to attend coaching officiating courses as normal. So nothing changes. Courses will be rolled out, and we've encouraged our states and territories to continue to roll out courses in 2022. We know we've had a difficult run throughout COVID and without having as many hockey events as we've had in the past. So we do not want to see the courses being run drop off this year. What we are here to do as Hockey Australia is we are here to actually support our MAs. So we are looking to support them by providing online training and online workshopping. So we've already done that. We've offered a series of online courses, including an indoor course that we ran in the back end of 2021. So more courses, more online workshops will be offered to support our states and territories. And that sort of ties in really, really nicely with where we're looking to move in terms of from a development perspective from HA. So we'll be providing more development opportunities to our coaches and officials. So through those online workshops, but also development sessions at nationals and through our partnership with Hockey New Zealand and the FIH. So we've hosted a series of FIH events already, in partnership with Hockey New Zealand and also Oceania. So they're FIH developer courses, FIH level 2 courses, and we'll be looking to roll out other courses throughout the year. In terms of development sessions at nationals, David Staniforth, our national goalkeeping coach, will be running a series of goalkeeping events at the under-18s nationals in April up in Cairns. We've got Mark Hager and Mark Knowles running a session on the domestic series, the pathway, a Tokyo review, Hori's experience from Great Britain leading into and throughout Tokyo as well. And that's just sort of, I guess, scratching the surface as we're starting to bring our NAP coaches, so our institute coaches, on board, and we're looking to run a webinar series throughout the year after we get through under 15s and 18s. So that will be really, really exciting, and we really encourage you to register. If you're a passionate coach or official, we want you to get on board, and we want to continue to provide those development opportunities. One of the really, really exciting things that we've been able to do in the officiating space is sign a partnership with the Officiating Collective, an absolutely incredible resource or incredible platform that offers relevant and new resources constantly, webinar series with officials from various sports. We've had really, really positive feedback, and it's been an organization that we've heavily invested in as Hockey Australia as part of our alignment in developing grassroots to pathway and performance over the next 5 to 10 years. Part of that partnership means that our currently accredited level 2 and level 3 officials are offered a subscription in the Officiating Collective platform, but we will also be offering that subscription to nationally identified officials. So those are the officials that are basically attending national events. Again, if you'd like to hear anything more, feel free to contact me, and I'm happy to discuss that more or put you in contact with our officiating advisory group. The next big piece is to complete the data migration from our current HockeyEd platform to RevSport and then the LMS. So stage 2 actually started on Monday with a comms piece that went out through our HockeyEd, our current HockeyEd Moodle platform, which is the old platform. We know there's issues. We know it's clunky. We know we've had issues with it, and it's one of the big reasons that we've invested heavily in the RevSport integration with our LMS, basically meaning when we're up and running that all of our coaches and officials will access HockeyEd through RevSport and through single sign-on, and all of your details, your accreditations, your certificates will be housed in RevSport as well, and the online training will take place in the LMS. And that really supports, I guess, the direction we want to go with content creation to support all levels of our sport. So again, grassroots to high performance. So high performance are looking to come on board as well with developing their own content that will be targeted and available for our high performance athletes. So whether that's the future squads, our Gillaroos, our Burras, right up into our Hockeyroos and our Kookaburras, as well as our goalkeeping, nationally identified goalkeeping network. And again, this just supports the blended opportunities that we see from the new approach to coaching and officiating. All right, so we'll just jump ahead to the next slide. Again, I've talked a lot about the LMS and the blended learning style that it supports. So I won't read too much into this slide, but I will move on to the single sign-on just quickly as well. So that's really exciting. The integration process of RevSport and etrainu will be taking will be basically taking effect over the coming months, and we will be looking to be set up and ready to go by the start of Q3, I would say. And again, so this just allows you to, as a one-stop shop. You log into your RevSport account as an active member, playing member, coach, volunteer, official, and then you can access HockeyEd through that platform. And then all those records are housed basically on RevSport. So really, really exciting as we look to streamline our platforms. I'll just go to the next 2 slides, which just gives you a brief snapshot of what etrainu will look like. So you have your skills passport, your training library. So your courses will sit there. The resources that HA are developing will be will be made available as well in your training library. So we're hoping to bring some really, really exciting resources, again, in partnership with our pathway, our NAP pathway managers. So Nolsey and Hori, Stanny, and some of our other high performance team as well will be looking to develop some of our content that we can roll out and make available to benefit the coaching and officiating network and workforce that we have across the country. And then excellent, I'll just show one more quickly. So we're just going to wrap that up. If you do have any questions, I'm happy for you to reach out to me directly. My email address is liam.dixon@hockey.org.au. Happy for you to reach out if you've got any questions around HockeyEd, the framework, what 2022 looks like and beyond, Sport Australia and the essential skills as well, or anything else that relates to officiating and coaching development. All right, excellent. I'll leave you there. Thanks for your time. I'm sure I'll see you around a hockey field soon.